Hello everyone and welcome to this lecture. In this lecture we're going to be looking at scanning multiple targets. Alright, so in the previous lecture we looked at how to scan a single target. Now we are going to look at how to scan multiple targets. Now it is possible in Nmap to scan more than one target or hosts at the same time. Alright, so let's see how we can do that firstly with the syntax. Now please note that we're not using any commands right now. I'm just showing you how one would go about scanning two targets at the same time or multiple targets at the same time. Alright, so let's get started now. As I said, I already have my Metasploitable 2 virtual machine running. Now what I'm going to do is I'm running Windows as my host operating system. So I'm just going to find out the IP address and I'm going to scan for my Windows machine, and I'm also going to perform a scan on my Metasploit machine. Alright, because I want to tie together two IP addresses or two hosts. Alright, so I'm just going to check IP config in my command line for Windows, and that will return IPv4 address, my local IPv4 address, which is 192.168.1.104. Alright, excellent. Let's move into Kali Linux again. And the syntax is really very simple, as we already know it is. So we start off with Nmap, and the syntax then is very simple. You have your two targets. In this case, we are starting off with the Windows with my host operating system, which is 1.104, and we give a space. All right, so you just have to give a space between your targets. So which is then followed by the Metasploitable virtual machine IP address 0.1.107. All right, which is the IP address there. And that is how to scan for multiple targets. Now, you can increase the amount of targets that you want to scan by just using a space. And once you're ready, just hit enter. And it's going to start the scan. Of course, depending on the type of operating system that your target or your host is running, it could take a bit of time depending on how the latency is and a lot of factors. But regardless of that, it's going to return the results, as you can see. And we can just move upwards. And now the great thing is that it sorts the information or the output or the results for us. Okay, so firstly, as you can see, it gives you the information, the basic information that we looked at. And it has started the scan with the first one, as in the order that we initiated the scan. So the Windows operating system first. And as you can see, it has returned these ports with their according services that are running on the ports. All right, so we have the SSH port, the HTTPS, and the other ports that come with a Windows operating system. So realistically speaking, the Windows operating system is quite safe just by looking at the ports, right? Now, looking at the scan results from the Metasploitable 2 virtual machine, as you can see, which we already got previously, we can see that this does indeed return the results that we got previously, and that is how one would go about scanning for multiple targets. All right, so again, since all the targets are on the same subnet, if you have added them on the same subnet, you can use a comma to separate them, and you can add different types of results. Now, what I mean is, instead of scanning the way we did using the syntax that we did, if your two computers are on the same subnet, what you can do is you can launch an Nmap scan and use the network range. All right, so 192.168.1.104. All right, so I want to scan 104 and also want to scan 107. So I use a comma and 107. All right, so it understands that they're on the same subnet and is going to scan the next IP address that obviously is identified with 107. So if I hit enter, it's going to return the same results that we had. Obviously, it's going to scan for the Windows machine first, and then it's going to move on to the Metasploitable 2 virtual machine. All right. So again, it'll probably take about 15 seconds, similar to the previous way that we scanned. There we are. This time it took 16 seconds, and indeed it has returned the results as we wanted them or as we needed them. Okay. So as you can see, it's returned the results there, and it has also returned the results for the returned the results for the Metasploitable 2 machine there. So that is how to scan for multiple targets with the different types of syntax, depending on whether or not the devices or your computers are on the same subnet. But if they're not, you can go about scanning the two different hosts in that way, where you use the space instead of the comma. All right, so that's going to be it for this lecture. In the next lecture, we're going to be looking at how to scan a range of addresses or a range of hosts or targets. All right, so I'll see you in the next lecture.